Blammo. Yeah, that's right, folks. We got the Fallkniven S1 here in the Blade Boot Camp, courtesy of Luke from Northern Ireland. Luke is a committed viewer, and he, after seeing my review on the F1 and my dislike for the Fallkniven F1, contacted me, said, hey man, I got an S1, I'll send it over to you. And he shipped it all the way from Ireland, and I have had several months of use on this thing and had a really good time reviewing it. So again, Luke, thank you so much for sending this to me. I really appreciate it, buddy. And hopefully in this video, you guys are gonna really get a good feel for the S1, because not only are we gonna do our regular litany of all the different field testing, but also we're gonna run this not only up against the VG1 version of the SRK, we'll talk a little bit about that, but we'll also talk about its comparison to the F1, because again, if you remember in the F1 video, I purchased that knife and I was really excited. You know, I've heard great things online, everyone raves about the F1, but I felt let down by not only its ergonomics, but just its overall, what it could do for me. I just have so many other knives that could do stuff better, basically, for around the same price. So I was really glad and just really excited to get this S1 and get it out in the field so that I could compare it to the F1, because I like the idea of the convex edge stainless steel VG10 idea that Fallkniven uses in majority of their blades, and I just wanted to be able to get my hands on a knife that I enjoyed. So today we're going to talk through, again, not only ergonomics and whether or not I like the ergos better than on the F1, you'll have to stay tuned to see, but also, again, running it up against some good competition and just doing a full field test and review. So guys, let's go ahead, start looking at the S1, see what it has to offer. Hopefully by the end of the video, you guys will be able to decide whether or not this is going to be the right Fallkniven for you, or if there's other stuff out there that would be a better purchase. Hopefully by the end of the video, you'll know. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop to it.
Man, that's awesome. I'm gonna, what's the borrow one?
Thanks, Luke. You just made me want to buy a knife.
Awesome. Golly, that's awesome. Oh yeah, it's awesome. This is, I'm totally taking these up a cart from now on. Dude, come on here. Dude.
Oh, that's a knife I like.
It's so funny. Tommy, seriously. It's a little wussy sheath. That's actually a good little.
It's actually a great sheath.
I will say,
I hate that sheath.
I agree.
It's ugly, but it's got water drainage.
Total trash.
No, but listen,
Hate that thing. So as in that discussion, just sitting around the fire, you guys can tell I am not a fan of this sheath, and neither is my buddy Brian. And too bad for Peter, who seemed to have something of a like for it, isn't here to defend himself today as I'm wrapping up this sheath portion. So take it from me, guys, just like on the F1 that we previously looked at, the molded plastic sheath that comes with the S1 as an option, I just don't dig. There's a lot of reasons for that. Some of the main things that, again, you can refer back to our F1 video if you want to, but it's slim, it's molded plastic, it's really loud. The nylon snap up here covers the lanyard hole, which is a real big downside to me. If you put a lanyard on there, you're constantly fighting with it. You have a decent, strap there to put on your belt. Good drainage hole, nothing really to complain about. The slimness is fine, but then the final piece of the puzzle is that all retention is based off of this little tab that you see moving back and forth, which is putting friction on the guard. If that little tab cracks or breaks, is damaged in any way, there's no retention at all, and you just got to rely on this nylon strap up here, which is not going to securely hold it enough to keep it from wanting to slide out and possibly nick your hand. So, if you were to ask my opinion, if you're going to get an S1 knife, go with the leather option if you're not wanting to upgrade. You can do plenty of custom leather and custom kydex that's out there, but if you're not wanting to upgrade, the S1 does come with the option of a leather sheath for a little bit more, and from what I've heard, that's a better option when you're choosing the carry options for you with the S1 knife. All right, let's go ahead and give you some specs on the actual blade itself and its performance. How has it performed for me? Now, from tip to the handle, we're looking at 5.1 inches. Convex edge, which is awesome. We'll talk about that in a second. Clip point, which is also nice. I like that. I'm definitely starting to gravitate more towards clip points. I blame my buddy Peter for that one. And then we're looking at a thickness of 0.2, VG10 laminated steel, full tank construction all the way through with a Rockwell of 59 flat. So that is what we're looking at here on the blade. So it definitely has the clip point stabbing capability, as you've seen with some of the action. It is definitely a strong blade and strong tip in that sense. So it does have the ability, if you are looking as something that you need to stab and pry a lot with, it has the potential to handle it rather well with that strength at 0.2 inches thick, and then the clip point strengthens that all the way through to the tip. So great stabbing capability on the knife. The convex edge now, up until about a year ago, I was really nervous about convex edges, you know, about maintaining them. That was really my concern. Oh man, how easy is it going to be for me to maintain these blades? But I found that convex edges really not only perform exceptionally well in all of the woods tasks, and as well as in most game processing tasks as well. You know, to explain it for you, a convex edge is basically, instead of it being like a V saber grind, you know, like an upside down pyramid, a convex is basically like a ship's hull. It's rounded all the way to the edge. If it's a true convex, which this is, it's like a ship's hull. So imagine it like a ship's hull cutting through the water. That's how a convex edge is cutting through whatever material you're going through. So it makes it very strong, and also it takes a very long time for it to dull or to chip. So you're getting not necessarily better edge retention, though the edge holds up longer because of the convex edge, and it just splits apart wood, regardless if it's the batoning, regardless if it's feather stick making, notching. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, you can see the difference in the convex edge compared to saber grinds or full flat grinds or whatever. The downside is the maintenance. You know, a convex edge with that hull, you really have to know what you're doing. Leather stropping is one way to do that, and that's really how I've maintained this. And I have had a couple little chips and rolls here and there on the F1. I haven't had any on this S1, but on the F1 it came pretty beat up to me because I bought it used, and I was able to get a great edge back on it. So if you're concerned about convex edges and maintaining them, I haven't had any sort of problem with them, though there is a little bit of a learning curve with convex edges, but this VG10 takes an edge rather well, and it's not difficult to work with if you need to, tune it up and resharpen it. The 5 inches, great for camp tasks, great for bushcraft tasks, and those type of things. This is not a chopper, and it's not really going to baton much more than stuff about the width of your wrist. Much more than that. It's not designed for that. It can't handle that. And because of how lightweight it is, at just over 6 ounces, it just isn't going to chop very well, and the handle is not really designed for that. It's just not designed to chop much more than just delimbing stuff, like the thickness of your pinky. So that's the performance, guys. But for a camp knife, or companion blade, or a utility, tactical knife, it definitely has all those capabilities and has performed exceptionally well with the design. And I love that shape and size. Just gives you the perfect amount of real estate on that blade to get a lot of work done. Now, the handle on the S1 has a lot to offer. We have a length on this handle of 4.6 inches long with a maximum thickness on that palm swell right there of 0.7 inches. Which is definitely a little bit wider and a little bit longer than what we experienced on the F1. Because if you remember, the F1 had some big handle problems for me. It was barely long enough. The lanyard hold was being covered up by my pinky, which is not the case so much with this, and particularly with these large gloves that I'm wearing, and these heavy-duty, cold weather gloves. And the guard was almost non-existent. All that has changed on this S1. Strength is a big part of the S1's capabilities as well, because it is a full tang with the exposed tang coming out the back. So not only for pommeling, but just shows you how strong this handle really is and the knife overall is. Now, this is a rubber overmold with texturing along each side, none on the top and bottom. But I do like the fact that it does give you that bigger guard, a little bit longer handle, and just an overall better ergonomic feel and experience in my use in my test. compared to the F1. And something else to note, you know, the Fallkniven design comes from Scandinavia. We're here in the teens Fahrenheit, it's like 19 degrees, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, I've got heavy duty, thick, you know, insulated gloves on, and the handle just really feels good. But to note, with my large size gloves, I have about ½ inch sticking out the back. So if you have larger hands than what I'm rocking here today with these gloves, and it's in cold weather, you may start to lose real estate on the knife. Now, barehanded, if the weather is warmer, you can see you got lots of real estate in those large size hands, plenty of room to spare, and just very rounded, very ergonomic. Just feels really good in the hand for any sort of task that you may use, regardless if it is bushcraft or, you know, camp style tasks. And it does give you enough of a guard that you could use this as a tactical knife, though as we'll talk a little bit later when we compare this to the SRK, I don't think it has quite the traction that you need to consider this to be a true soldier fighting knife. But overall, guys, great ergonomics and definitely an upgrade over the F1 knife that we saw.
All right, we got some hemp rope. Let's see how this S1 handles it. Like butter. Not quite so much butter the second time. Might have been my fault though. There we go. Nice.
Except for meat. All right, folks, let's go ahead and talk value here real briefly on the S1. Now, depending on the variant that you get will determine the price point. This is the most basic model at right around $160, Amazon, eBay, Blade HQ. Now, if you want to do upgrades, they have a black bladed version as well, and you can get a leather sheath depending if you want satin or black blade as well. So if you go with the most premium, which would be leather sheath, black blade, you're looking at right about $180, $175, and the prices vary within there. So about $20 worth of difference depending on, you know, pick your poison basically. So for that price point, $160, you know, that's, I believe, a good value when we're talking about Japanese made laminated VG10 steel with the materials that we're looking at. Okay, folks, let's go ahead and do a quick comparison. I'm not going to go super in depth with the SRK versus the S1 today. I may do a more in-depth field knife with stainless steel concept video in the future. This is more just kind of helping you out if you are in the market and you are comparing an SRK to the S1 because they are very similar in a lot of their design features. Now, I'm going to try and kind of make it clear right out of the gate which one you should buy. If you're looking for more of a wilderness knife, go with the S1. If you're looking for more of a utility tactical knife, go with the SRK. That is, you know, actuated by the fact that the SRK is going to have that extra inch of reach even though they have the exact same cutting edges. This inch blank spot right here is just going to give you more length to be able to use in a combat situation. The clip point on the SRK is definitely more aggressive with less belly, designed for, you know, that stabbing and penetrating, whereas the S1 has more belly and not as an aggressive clip, which is still, you know, you could use in a, you know, tactical situation, but isn't as aggressive as the SRK, and obviously the belly with the slightly less aggressive clip will be better for wilderness use. The other thing as well is that the guard on the SRK is definitely more pronounced, so it's going to keep you locked into place more, and that's also in effect because of the pocking and ribbing that they've done all the way around the handle, whereas on the S1 they only give you the checkering down the sides and it's slick on both top and bottom of the handle, so there's not quite as much traction and grip for, again, more tactical utility tasks. So that's really it. You know, the SRK sheath I think is a lot better as well for military use and lots of lashing points, as we talked about. Hate this sheath on the S1. that I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yeah, the VG1. The VG1 and the S1, again, and the VG10 on the S1, I'm not going to, again, go into huge detail. I'll just tell you that they hold their edges similarly. They both are very rust resistant and definitely hold good edges. The VG1 and the VG10 aren't necessarily the best field knife steels in the sense of being out in the field. They are going to take some work if they dull or chip on you in the field longer than, say, a basic high carbon like 1095. But very similar edge retention and toughness that I'm seeing out of both of these steels, even though this one's VG1 and this one's VG10. So guys, that's basically it. Last thing here real fast also, handles, you can see there that there's a lot more girth on the SRK handle versus the S1 is a little bit slimmer, though they are actually about the same length. It's a little, you know, optical illusion. This is 4.75, this one's 4.6, so very similar in handle lengths, but the SRK will be a lot rounder and beefier, better for larger size hands than the S1, which will be better for a slightly smaller size hand. So my final thoughts are, as I've shared with you in the previous shot, talking about this compared to the SRK from Cold Steel. I like this out in the wilderness better than the SRK. For more utility tactical tasks, I would prefer the SRK, so as you've heard there. So with that being said, I think this is an awesome belt knife, camp knife, backpacker blade. You know, it just has a lot of capabilities. It can still be used, you know, with that clip point design as a utility tactical knife if you need it to be, and that's what you're looking for, and you like this a little bit more than the SRK, totally understand. And it has that capability, but I think this is just a great camp knife or larger bushcraft knife, and I definitely like it a lot more than the Fallkniven F1 that we previously reviewed. Just didn't have the blade length that I like and just didn't have the real estate on the handle. This fixes those problems that I had with the F1, so I love the S1, guys, and it is definitely recommended over the F1 in my opinion. If you're kind of weighing the odds between the two, go with this guy. I think you'll get a lot more use out of it. Love it a lot. And really looking forward to as well, I just purchased the A1 from Fallkniven, so we'll be doing a review soon on the A1. I'll still have this around, and I'll run this in against the A1 so you can even see that against even the bigger blades. So again, thank you, Luke, for sending this over to us from Northern Ireland. I really appreciate it a lot, buddy. And thank you guys, as always, for checking out the channel. I really hope that this video has helped you out with your purchasing decisions. Check us out on all the relevant social media. Links are in the description below. And as always, remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.